Some call me Tamia G. Who am I? I'm a miracle.
What makes you a miracle?
The fact that I survived the thing that was meant to kill me.
There's no way to really surmise that type of experience, you know, because everybody's is like one of a kind, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like for you, maybe start with the words that like resonate with that chapter. Like, what are the words that come?
Champions are forged in the crucible of life. That's the number one thing that I would say. That's the thing that stuck with me the entire journey. That is the quote that I remembered after, and that is something that still sticks with me to this day. Is champions are forged in the crucible of life. That's it. Yep. Yeah.
What do you think about now?
Just, I don't know. I think for me, sometimes I can't believe that I went through an experience like that. Like, if you look at my life now, if you look at me now, you would never know. And my cousin used to tell me all the time, like, Tamia, you have to journal this, you have to document it, because nobody's gonna believe that you went through this. And I'm here now and I don't even believe it. It's like, after you experience something so traumatic and life-changing, when you're in your good moment, you forget what the worst felt like. And that's how I feel. Sometimes I wake up and if I see a clip or if I see a photo of myself when I was going through cancer or chemotherapy, or when I was having an episode, a lot of the time it was my family and people around me who were capturing me in those moments. And I wasn't able to do for myself or think about really like documenting that journey. Or it's like, I did journal and stuff like that, but you're just trying to live. Like, you're just every day, you're just trying to survive, or you just want to make it through another day. You just want to survive. And also, you see the pain of those around you. And so it's like, now, as I'm thinking about it, I remember those emotions, but sometimes after the fact, you forget, and I wake up and it doesn't feel like that was my experience. It feels like I was living a completely different life. And I can't believe that I went through something like that. Like, to this day. Yeah, no.
Women, we share the journey of our hair. And some people embrace it. Some people have cut it all off.
Right.
You know, done all those things. And it is such a staple moment that I've recognized anyone that I've known who has had cancer, when they're going through chemo, it's the sign. It's the sign that it's serious, or it's the sign of, I'm really about to go hard for this thing. It's almost like you kind of get in that, I call it my Michael B. Jordan moment, you know, that Creed face where you like, I gotta go hard, and like, this requires me to let and relinquish things that I would typically in other spaces want to hold on to.
Yeah. And
so as a friend, but also too as a sister friend, but then also too as just someone who has seen this journey from close and afar, like, we see the videos and it's like a wow factor when I'm seeing your hair grow. I've seen the length and Lord Jesus mine, you know, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yes, come on, hair flip. Let's say it one more time.
Listen, I'm grateful for it.
It's given we need to do the hair.
Oh, no. What about Wicked?
Yes. Flip.
Like Ariana.
Yes. But, like, you know, you had the wigs, you had to shave your hair. Like, I mean, when you look back at that version of yourself, and by the way, you killed the baldy, right? Like, I just want you to know, if you ever decide to do it as a fashion trend,
thank you.
Can the camera hear me in the back? Okay. When you look back at that person, do you see yourself? Like, what was that like? Like, what do you see when you see that version of you? Because you are beyond vulnerable. You're for lack of better words, you're exposed.
Girl, you look crazy. But also, like, yes, you would look crazy because in a moment's notice when you're having to jump out of bed and go to ER and you're weak. This is not, my parents had to be my caretakers, like take care of me like I am a child. So you are not, they are giving you whatever they can pull out a drawer quickly so you can make it to the ER, because you have to think in a parent's mind and with a parent's love, they want to make sure that they do whatever they got to do so their child can live. Not so, and then two, when you're in that experience, I wasn't thinking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy the best wigs and my hair is gonna be snatched and like my makeup is gonna be purged and I was thinking, Lord, please don't let me die today. I was thinking like, okay, if I can just make it through one night of sleep. I was thinking like, man, all that stuff we really used to worry about don't even matter. Or how am I going to pay my bills as a solo entrepreneur and the savings that I had? Because when you're young and like you're in your 20 somethings and you're living life, you're not thinking, oh, I have to prepare just in case I have a terminal illness. Who is thinking like that? I wasn't. And so what I had was my savings. So when I look back at that version of myself, I can honestly say that while I look at some of the clips and I'm just like, girl, but it's like, how are you, like, who cares about doing hair or showing up a certain way or appearances when you are literally trying to fight for your life? When you're weak, when you're throwing up, when you are bleeding out. I had the most traumatic, even before I found out that I had cancer, when I had the biopsy, I got home, I was laying on the couch because I was super weak. But I just thought, you know, us as women, like, oh, I was just doing too much. I'm just tired. But this was like, I felt like all of the energy had been drained out of my body. And I get home, I'm laying on the couch. My mom is trying to make sure that I eat something. I fall asleep, maybe for a good 30 minutes. I wake up and I'm always checking like my pads where like the biopsy was done and stuff like that, just to make sure like, okay, I'm good. I wake up to blood pouring down my breast. My bra is literally filled with blood. And my mom ran across the street to go get some things so she can make me something to eat. I'm freaking out. Like I am literally, blood is like pouring out of the biopsy site. What was the white pad that was over the site is now crimson red. Like everything is just, it's traumatic. So my mom comes, she's like, apply pressure on it, told my dad to come down, and she's a nurse. So she applies pressure on it. She rushes home, applies pressure on it for a good 5 minutes. It's just bleeding, won't stop. We go to the ER and I'm literally crying because I'm just like, God, is this like going to be my reality? Like, this is crazy. This is with no diagnosis. I was so weak and my mom is pleading with the people at the emergency room, like, please, like, she's bleeding, like it has not stopped. And finally they got the bleeding to stop. But when you're going through things like that on a continuum, your fashion wear, style wear, like makeup wear, like hair wear, who cares? I just want to live. That's it. Like, that's it. So when I look at that other version of myself, I'm like, girl, you's a bad mother, shut your mouth. Like, I really look at it like, Tamia, you are so strong. Like, you are so courageous. And also, the human side of me is like, man, dag, why I had to look crazy? You know what I mean? But I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is.
There is like, who knows how many terminal illnesses and diseases that not only impact the African American community, but just multiple people. There's some people that don't have resources, who don't have a community, that doesn't have a mom that's a nurse,
right?
Who may not be able to detect certain things in their body, or, you know, I call it the WebMD like anxiety, because probably everybody at one point in their life has Googled something and diagnosed themselves with cancer. Right? Like at some point we all had cancer. And I don't say that to poke fun. I say that to say, like, there are so many versions of cancer. There are so many different ways people are diagnosed. You know, all those things, like, and there's no perfect way, but I know that one of the things, as we're looking forward in your journey, because I know that cancer is one many chapters of your beautiful life, you've really had to take the ownership over your wellness.
Right.
Like, it's my understanding that you're not, you know, getting a regimen from the doctor to be like, you got to eat this. Once you got a clear bill of health, you were like, okay, these are things that I want to do. I know that you got the apps. I know like all of these things. But why was incorporating wellness into your life so important? And how do you maintain that when others aren't balancing that same level of, I guess, calculatedness around that?
I always say the body remembers. And when you live in your body, only you can feel what's going on, what is like internally happening when things shift, when the mood is off or whatever. And so I think the reason that I know the reason that I prioritize it is because I have this thing that I always say. I always say that if your body is broken, your dreams cannot function, because your body is the vehicle through which your dreams manifest. So if I am not able, and also I think about the scripture that says, present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service, right? And I think about sometimes how from a body perspective, if I'm not taking care of my body, if I'm not advocating for my health, if I am not showing up for myself, if I am not showing that I was worth saving, like, God, you didn't waste a save on me. You didn't waste a life on me. You didn't waste an opportunity on me. I was worth saving because I'm not being negligent over what I know is a gift. I get to exist in this body because he allowed me to live. Like, and because I've been gifted with that, what I do with it is my gift back to him, like they say. And that's how I feel. So I prioritize it because I know I don't have to be here. I didn't have to be alive. I didn't have to have the life that I have post-cancer. It's not owed to me. And tomorrow is not promised. So for me, that makes it easier, because you're not going to forget the moments that like made you work for it. if I had to work to live, why wouldn't I work to maintain that life? You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna work to keep it.
What is your go-to priorities when you wake up every day? Like your top 3 things?
Top 3 things: talk to God. That's number 1. The second thing is really to take some space and time to myself. Even if it's not in the morning, I try my best to spend at least 30 minutes to an hour away from technology. Like, no phone near me. I'm not touching it. We have enough noise. And I think that's one of the things I started to do even during cancer, because radio, TV, all the things, you hear cancer commercials all the time. I had to turn it off. And I feel like in order for me to maintain some level of like inner peace and agency, I have to disconnect. Like, I have to. So that's a non-negotiable. I try to reflect and start my day with gratitude, and knowing that even if things are not okay today, or I'm not okay, that I still have things that I could be grateful about. Even if it's just breath in my body, because that means I have purpose. Even if it's just the fact that I have loving friends and a family, a house to go home to, a car to drive. Like, I'm doing okay, because there are people out there who don't have any of that. And so if I could have just that, then I'm doing okay. And it provides a different level of perspective.
When you think about your legacy, you know, and this is not to close the chapter on anything, amen? Mm-hmm. When you think about your legacy and the work that you've been doing, honestly, to frame it, for lack of better words, the things that you're doing with Soap and Mart, the things that you're doing outside of that sector,
right,
the things that you do for your day-to-day work life, how do you balance it?
I don't think there's any such thing as balance. There's something so good that my mom said to me. My mom is like my go-to. That's like, I love her. We're super close. But I think one of the things when I think about balancing or when I think about all of the priorities, is really assessing what is on my plate that I can deprioritize. That's number 1, but also realizing and remembering Rome wasn't built in a day. And I'm the type of person, I could be very hard on myself. One thing that my mom says that I just take with me every day is I am doing the best that I can do in this moment. And if that's my reality, that Tamia, you've shown up the best that you can, you have prioritized and deprioritized, you have taken time for yourself, you are doing the best that you can do in this moment. And guess what? Everything else that's undone today will be okay tomorrow.
You talk about your support system, your mom, your dad. I know you have siblings, you've got friends, you've got all of that. In the moments when all of those people can't answer a phone, it's a little quiet, someone's at work, someone's dealing with another life crisis, or life is just life.
Yeah.
Where do you go?
I run to the Father. I think about that song by Cody Carnes. All I have is God. That's it. That is it. When you do not have anything else, there were many moments like that. I was going through grad school and I was being taken care of by my parents. And there were times where all I had was the 4 walls. There were times where my brother and my sister could not stand to see me in the state that I was in. And I think too, that's why going through experiences like COVID, the pandemic, all of that stuff was different for me, because I had to mask up before. Like, that was my norm. I was very much isolated before because my immune system was very vulnerable. So, and my parents still had to work, and my friends and my cousin and barely any friends saw me. The only people that really saw me was my family. And so when you're going through that and you're sitting alone with your thoughts and yourself, it forces you to do a lot of self-work. It forces you to communicate with God and those that you love more deeply and intentionally. And for me, it definitely was clinging to the word. I remember the whole time I was going through chemotherapy, number one, I was studying the book of Job. There's a scripture in the book of Job that says, who can find a man like Job who drinketh up scorning like water? Drinketh up scorning like water. And I was like, I need that type of faith. My cousin was like, girl, you going through this and you studying Job, you are crazy. And I would say, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Because I understood, even if he had decided to take my life was his to take to begin with. And beside that, I had to remind myself, I would have scriptures on the side of my bed. Like, I had to remember what his word says. And that kept me focused, and that kept me, every day I sat in the chemo chair, I would say, the Lord is my light. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? The whom is cancer. When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though an host should encamp against me, my heart will not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. For in the times of trouble, he shall hide me. And I would, like, literally, I would quote scripture to myself, because it reminded me, like, if the Lord is your light and your salvation, meaning he guides the way and he saves you, like, whom shall you fear? And he said, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Like, what do you have to be afraid of? So it all points back to God. And my very name actually means sweet-natured and to honor God in Greek and Hungarian. My lip gloss is popping. My lip gloss is cool. My lip gloss is... What did she say the third time?
Speaking of music, like, what's your hit list? Like, yeah, like, yo, I'm going through some things, or maybe not. Maybe I need my pick-me-up, like, from Christian to R&B to... I know Brandy is your vocal Bibleist. I know. So yeah. Let's talk through that. Like, who's I gotta ask, what's your top 10?
I can't give a solid top 10 only because I listen to so many genres of music. Like, I listen to ambient, I listen to blues, experimental, jazz, gospel, CCM, gospel rap, like hip hop to a certain degree. I'm a fan more of the era of conscious rappers. So when you think of like the Commons and Talib Kweli's and like back in the day, I guess because for me, I'm a spoken word. I come from spoken word. So it's just, I like music that makes me think. I like music that gets me through. I would say right now, one person that I haven't, okay, so I have a couple of people in rotation for different reasons. I do love Brandy. I'm a Brandy stan. I just think she's phenomenal vocally. But I just been listening to a lot of different people. Like, I've been running some stuff from Jacob Collier back because I watched his interview with Terrell Grice. So I'm just like, man, he has so much, like the things that he does musically is just stupid. Like, you, sir, are an icon. You're a genius. Like, you, who thinks like this? You're a prodigy. How? Like, make it make sense. There is a She Rocks artist who I love listening to. Her name is Yasmin Williams. She has a new album called Acadia, but I like all of her stuff. Yes, shout out to Yasmin Williams. If you don't know her, get acquainted because she's phenomenal. Like, she's amazing. I've never heard somebody do with an instrument what she does, like with the strings, and so I think she's also brilliant. So that's musically, on the music side, some of the people that I've just been like, oh, I'm running you back. But yeah, I don't have like a one person. I just have people. I have different people in different genres that I listen to. Brittany Spencer from the DMV. She's a country artist now. Everybody probably saw her recently, like singing with Beyonce. But aside from that, she's been that girl. She has some stuff off her albums that I love. So I truly listen to every genre. I would say my least played genre is probably rap, just because I'm not a hip hop girly outside of like the 2008 Kanye, like Kanye and like I said, when like Tribe Called Quest and everybody back then was out, and you know, people were running like Dilla tracks and that era of music, like Questlove, like that era, not this era. And it's just because, again, I appreciate depth in music. So I'm a lyrics first, music second type of person, which is very weird because I'm surrounded by musicians and vocalists and singers. So it's very interesting. I love Kenyon Dixon. I think he is amazing. I think Blast is amazing. Just when you think about people vocally, I think Alex Isley is amazing. I do love indie artists. I stand for them because I think they still bring that essence of what R&B was to this new era of music and like this dynamic now. I'm also an old soul, so I have a playlist where I have songs from back in the day. I mean, from Earth, Wind, and Fire. Aretha is my girl, but I also listen to jazz. So like, I love Sarah Vaughan, like 100%. I feel like her tone, like what she has the power to do vocally is amazing. But I also listen to Imogen Heap, who is like, in and of herself, to me, somebody who just does things where I'm like, oh, that is sickening. And I also like John Mayer. You know what I mean? So I truly do bounce around, and I appreciate different types of music for different reasons. So that was a lot. Like, I gave you a lot, but I love music, and I have music playlists and moods for every sort of dynamic.
So, you know, you say you're not a hip hop head, but we're not gonna not acknowledge that you basically got a Kanga on. I mean, for a lack of better words.
but you know what? It's just, to me, hip hop was different in our era as a millennial and in generations before us. I feel like there was more depth, there was more intention. The storytelling was centered around the human experience and not just, you know, clubbing and partying and like turn up. And that's cool for that moment and for that dynamic, but it's not serving me when I'm having a rough day and I need to feel myself. Like Kalani, that's my birthday twin, or my, you know, birthday month twin, but she has this song called Crazy. When I I love that song because it makes me feel good. Everything I do it with a passion. Everything that she says in that song, I'm just like, yes, this is me. This is how I feel. Bounce back game good. Why are we talking practice? Like, pull up score when I want to. Best thing next to heaven. They be trying to count me out though. I'm just counting blessings. Like, that is my jam, okay? So songs like that get me energized. And so again, different things for different reasons. And I'm a lyrics first type of person, because what am I feeding my subconscious? And can I align with what's being said? And how is it conducive or serving me in the moment? But also from a musical standpoint, from like everything, vocal production, even though I am not a singer, even though I'm not a musician, my husband is, my best friend is, like everybody around me, that's what they come from. Both of my grandmothers played the piano. All of my aunts played the piano. I took piano lessons and quit. Mass communications major in college with a concentration in broadcast journalism, and I still took music theory. So it just tells you, like, I know what a triad chord is. I know how to find, different chords on the piano. Do I have perfect pitch? No. But it's just, I have a love and I have a respect for music and for artists and for musicality and just good storytelling.
What's your go-to dance move? Like, if you like, yo, I'm vibing, I'm having a moment.
My go-to dance move?
I mean, I know you probably can't show it fully, but like, is it a hand moment? Is it a pop?
It's the rock, the church rock, side to side.
It's the church rock.
Yeah, like, I don't be giving too much. I just chill. That's it. I keep it simple.
You keep it simple.
I keep it simple.
You like to fly under the radar?
Do I like to fly under the radar? What does that mean?
Like low-key living, like stealth mode. Like, I kind of like...
I would say I'm an ambivert. I give energy where it's required and where it is safe and where it is deserved. I can be extrovert, but with those that I know and those that I feel safe with, and when I feel comfortable in certain spaces, most of the time I'm chill. Like, I'm chill. I love being goofy. I love having fun. I love high energy. I'm a very jovial person naturally, right? I'm definitely that, but I'm also, for those who know, they know, don't try me. So I think I'm the one, not the two. Like, you can go play in somebody else's yard, not mine. Yeah. So I feel like with that, I'm observant. I like to read the room and I give the room what it requires of me. That's what I will say.
Okay, let's drop the mic on that. Another drop mic thing that I think you kill every time, whether we are out and about or we're just chilling, your fashion game is sick, boo. Okay?
Thank you.
And it's a reflection of your personality, but I also think like you have the ability to bring color into a space. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of want you to talk about that. Like, what is that approach? Like, why are you wearing the green and the pinks and the orange? Like, is it strategic? Is it something that's uplifting? Like, what is the science behind essentially your fashion choices? Because I think that you're already naturally a creative. Mm-hmm. And I do think that, we do have the ability, whether we're getting piercings or tattoos or clothing, everybody finds an outlet to express themselves when they're not speaking and when they walk into a space. So I'm kind of like, I want to dissect that, unpack that with you a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that I have been as playful as I would like to be always. I think there's so much more to what I want to do with fashion and how I want to play around. But I think for me, it's a couple of things. One, I love art in general, and I feel like you are your own personal canvas. And anything that you can do to accentuate and to show up in a space and allow people to see, like, this is who I am without saying a word is important. I tend to draw towards color because, again, I am number one, I want people to know that I have an energy signature, as Les Brown would say. And that energy signature is happiness, it is joy, it is remembering to acknowledge the child within me. Like, I think so many times as adults, we get so focused on being an adulting and being serious and doing the business things and doing all the things that we forget, like, when is the last time we showed up for that child in us that just wanted play and pleasure and fun? And so I think for me, my style is a reflection of how I want to show up in a space. And when I wear something that I feel good in, I'm naturally gonna give that energy to other people. And I think also I appreciate texture, color, shapes, patterns, things that are not necessarily always common or a go-to. I don't like matchy-matchy. I love monochromatic looks as well. Like, I like when someone can do a monochromatic look from head to toe and it looks amazing. So I appreciate that because I think I'm trying to play around and explore more what my energy signature is from a style perspective. I also think I like sometimes giving Art Deco vibes, or I like doing things that spark questions. So for example, one day I was at this vintage store and I saw a mushroom purse. And the reason I gravitated towards it was, number one, I love Yayoi Kusama and her works and the things that she does. When she first opened the exhibition for Infinity Mirrors and Infinity Rooms, I was there and I got to experience her work, but I also watched her documentary and understood a little bit more about her process. And so I was like, oh, like, the dots on the mushroom reminds me of her work, but also it's nostalgic because when we were playing Nintendo back in the day, me and my brother used to play Super Mario Brothers, and I would be Luigi, and then you would have the mushroom and the princess and Mario, and I was like, this looks like the mushroom from Super Mario Brothers, and I like it, and it's different. Like, who's walking around with a mushroom purse? I am. I have this other bag, this other piece where it's like, it's a bag, but it has like the bottle can lid caps, and it's just all embedded in the purse in some type of way. And I'm just like, yo, this is cool. Like, this is completely different than anything somebody would just pick up. And so I think you'll see me play around a lot with colors and textures and patterns. And sometimes I'll just throw on things that may not make sense to others, but if I feel good in it, I'm gonna wear it regardless because it makes me smile. And I wanna do more of what makes me smile and not a lot of what doesn't make me smile. So, yeah.
You talk about what makes you smile. Do you feel like, I feel like we associate smiling and happy feelings and joy with light, right? We talked about that a little bit. Is there pressure to be light?
Pressure to be liked. There used to be. So I have a poetry book that I wrote called Self-Preservation. And I wrote it because I realized at a certain point in my life and in my career, I was tired of performing. In my relationships, I was tired of performing. I feel because of the type of society we live in, we want to show up in spaces as our best selves. But what happens when you have nothing left to give, or you realize that people only gravitate towards you when you're performing? And for me, I think I came to terms with the fact that, number one, I will never be perfect. I will never be liked by everyone. That is not my job. My job is to be Tamia fully and wholly, and to be around the people, the kinds of people that can embrace me through every phase of my evolution. Because we will never be good enough for anyone. We're gonna make mistakes, we're gonna show up, we're gonna be flawed. But I threw performance out the window, because it does nothing to serve me. It does nothing, to keep me in a space where I remember that, you know what, Tamia, don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself grace. Girl, your body has been through a lot. You have been through a lot. You don't need to perform for anybody. And I think also, as you get older, you just don't care. After cancer, my cousin was like, Tamia, you a whole different person. You don't care. You just say what's on your mind. Yes, I do. And I think it was me realizing that I was exhausted from performance that I decided, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. So I think back then, if you would have talked to me a few years ago, maybe. Now, no.
What's your go-to bag items? I'm curious, to be the woman that you are, the entrepreneur, the CEO, the counselor, the friend, the sister, the mother. When it comes to my go-to, I'm out the door, keep my essentials. What's your essentials?
What's in my bag? What are essentials? So I have to have hand sanitizer at all. If I don't have the spray, I'm gonna have the wipes. We're gonna have something, baby, because we need to rid ourselves of these germs. I was a germaphobe before COVID. That's just me. So we're gonna have something to clean these hands. The other thing is I definitely have to have lip balm of some sort, because I hate dry skin, dry lips. It drives me crazy, insane. I typically always carry a journal with me, unless I know I'm going somewhere where I don't need it, just in case a thought pops up, because there's nothing like being able to write it on paper. And I think I still appreciate pen and paper. What else would be in my purse? Of course, my phone, my iPhone, my AirPods, because we gotta be listening to music. I'm trying to think if there's anything interesting that I have as an essential typically. I do have a diffuser pen that my friend Jaime, behind the cam, shout out, gave me. And I do love taking that when I go to cafes, because it gives me a sense of well-being and being in a space where it just allows me to be mindful to take a breath. But not too much. And I'll be having many deodorants. I like Each and Every. That's a really good, clean brand. But that's pretty much it. I keep it simple.
I love the simplicity of all the things that you say. I think you represent soft girl era at its finest.
Yeah.
And you worked really hard for that. What do you think when you look at, all the things you do day to day? What is it that's that one thing that you either want people to know or you wish people would know about you?
That I want people to know, or that I wish people would know about me? I want people to know that I am not a monolith. I am not one-dimensional. That's what I want people to know. What I wish people would know, I think those who have come up with me, they know a bit more about my background in the arts. And so I think a lot of times people see me doing all of these things from a arts advocacy standpoint, and really standing for women in visual and performing arts, and being a person who is about actionable advancement for women in the arts, but not necessarily being in a space where they know that that's the world that I came from. That I started off writing. That's always been, creative writing has always been an outlet for me. I always used to do that, especially when I was younger. I was much more of an introvert. And so me having the ability to write poems and short stories and have this discourse with my grandfather, who used to tell me about purple people eaters, and opened up my sense of wonder and imagination, and just understanding that I can create a whole new world, or that there's a form of escapism in being able to create art and being able to create new worlds through your words. And so I think that's where it started. And then I started to do plays when I was in elementary school, and that turned into me doing a poetry club and doing, the Jaguar Players, which was the theater club, and winning the best actress in a one-act play for that, but then also going to do theater professionally and performing at the Lincoln Theater, the National World Theater, having classes at the Shakespeare Theater. So I was getting paid to act when I was a teenager, and we would go different places. And the funny part about it is, it was my elementary school drama teacher who then left and started a full-time production company. So I'm working with actors who are SAG actors, and this is an experience that I had to audition for. So I was catching the train to like H Street, Atlas World Theater, to downtown, Chinatown, and, going for performances and rehearsals. And it is what I love to do. They also don't know that I was trained in dance. So I was doing modern, I was doing ballet. They know my sister as the dancer because I let that world go. I was like, this isn't quite for me. But all in middle school, I was taking up dance. I was a part of the dance club, and I also did Spirit Wings Dance Company and Studio. My sister made the company. So it wasn't me knowing that would inadvertently lead her to something that she loved. And I was like, this is not so much my thing. Like, I'm a, step over. So I thought I was going to go to college as a theater major. I took a gap year because I was getting paid acting. So I was just like, and my parents were like, if you take a full gap year, you're never going to want to go fully. So I was like, okay. And I thought to myself, I was like, well, since I've already done theater, what is something that I feel I can do that I still love and would love to do? And it goes back to the writing. So communications, broadcast journalism, being able to talk across cultures. That's always naturally been my thing, because as a writer, you have to understand language, culture, and meaning. You have to understand what meaning making means to you. So I wish people would know a little bit more about that. There was a period where I was doing a lot of songwriting. So those who know, which is why people are like, why does Tamia know all of these people? There was a time where my production company, Love Life Media, started off as a media blog site covering like the Stellar Awards and different events. And we wanted to focus on positive people and positive media. And I was also a DJ at the time on Thirsty Soul Radio. So not a DJ in the sense like, not that, but a DJ in this the sense of being an actual disc jockey on, air, or on-air personality for that particular radio station. And, there's so many layers to who I am. And so I think if people knew that and understood that, I think about even colleagues that I came up with who, again, a lot of people knew in college, I did spoken word poetry heavy. like with Michael Hayslip, and I was with, Timothy Roscoe, and, we were soaking in everything that if you went to Morgan, Archie the Messenger. I mean, killing it on the slam poetry circuit. And I look at even people I went to high school with, like Chris Bars, who's now producing for big people like Metro Boomin and, Chris Brown. Like, he has placements on placements, but we used to be in the senior lounge. Like, literally, they would be writing raps, rapping, rap battling, and out, because I don't even think people know he's a killer in that way, like lyrically. But we used to be in the senior lounge creating and, sharing bars and all that stuff. So I wish people knew that about me. But it's not always widely known. So yeah. Navigating grief on a continuum. Like, imagine losing your mentor. So my mentor was Sheila Stewart. She was the first Black woman who really took me in, the first person, period, who was not a gatekeeper and who put me on game when it came to the industry. And in 2013, I lost her. And it was devastating and the first kind of grief that I experienced from a loss. But imagine losing your mentor, and then a few years later, you're diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer after starting your journey to really cementing yourself professionally. And then going through this constant cycle of loss where, while you survive what could have been the worst and most devastating part of your story, you're watching other people die from what you went through and the survivor's guilt that comes with that. And you're having to grapple with so many losses. Like, I remember when my Nana passed away, that was the hardest loss I ever experienced. And then my grandfather passed away a few months later. And then my friend Quasi passed away. And then the first friend that I made in chemotherapy, this is all in 1 year, passed away. And then I'm getting a call while I'm at work that my brother is in the OR because he got in a traumatic motorcycle accident, is having to be medevac to the hospital. They have him in the OR now. Nobody knows what's going on. And he's 5 minutes from bleeding out and dying. And I'm all the way in California, navigating experience after experience while still trying to catch my breath from the last grief. So I think there's a lot of layers, again, to who I am and the things that I have been through, and a lot of my story that people don't know. People don't know that I had a terminal illness before cancer. And so I think those are things that are a part of my journey. Not all of who I am. It's one side of the story.
How do you maintain your confidence? Because I feel like, one of the things that I think everybody can relate to, one form of another, is having a fluctuation in their confidence. Mm-hmm. Some people are late bloomers. Mm-hmm. Some people find confidence in their marriages, with their spouses that, pull them up. It's their siblings. Yeah. It's validation in their work. But as we all recognize that the things that we seek validation become the things that almost define us, right? Right. And so, like, for you, how are you able to, I guess, maintain that level of confidence? Because I feel like it's like joy. It's up and down, right? It's ebbs and flows of it all. So, like, what are the things that you are doing? Like, if you had, like, a 5-step thing, like, what is it that you do to help that?
So, number one, I've learned the power of the pivot. So if I am thinking or using negative self-talk, I automatically have to replace it with positive self-talk. So if I say, man, I don't feel pretty today, I counteract it with a positive thought. You in and of yourself are beautiful. You may not feel beautiful right now, but you are beautiful. And it's not a lie. It's just you speaking the truth or speaking the power of what the word says. I'm big. I don't know what everybody else's faith is. I don't, push my faith on anybody, because I believe that when you walk in the integrity of who you are, rooms, atmospheres, and environments are changed because you are in that space. And so for me, I can't do anything without God, without the word, just period. And so fear has been something, I think some aspects of confidence also have attachments of shame and fear. And when you are shameful and when you are living in fear, a lot of times you don't show up as your full self, or you don't feel comfortable enough to show up as your full self, because there is a space or something that is lacking belief somewhere in your life, in your job, your career, whatever. So for example, if I feel fearful, I may say, Tamia, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Then I'll say, you have power, you have love, you have a sound mind. You have power, you have love, you have a sound mind. One of my favorite scriptures is in the book of John, and it says, there is no fear in love, for fear has torment, and he that fears has not been made perfect in love. Do you trust who you say you love? So if I say I love God, do I trust him enough to remove the fear, to remove the imposter syndrome, and to allow me to walk in the confidence of who he made me? Number 3, I remember that nobody else can recreate my genius. There is only one Tamia. They can try to steal ideas. They can try as best as they can. But I believe that if I have been given ingenuity, if I have been given a level of genius for my purpose and for how I am to execute something, nobody's going to be able to do it like I do it. And I always remind myself, Tamia, like, you don't want to be one of a kind. You just want to be the one. And sometimes the one has to be ostracized. Sometimes the one has to serve as the martyr. Again, I go back to that scripture in Job. Who can find a man like Job, who drinketh up scorning like water? I always say to myself, as the 4th thing, is a mantra that I say. I say, I vow to carry the weight of my dreams. No matter how heavy it gets, I will remember that it is mine. And so I think sometimes because we see the ways in which other people show up in the world, there's this pressure for us to show up in the same way or to show up better. And it's just like, but that's not your dream, that's theirs, that they're carrying. And you don't know what they had to endure to get there. So I remind myself that, like, my weight is for my dream, and I remember the things that I had to endure to get to where I am now. And oftentimes it keeps me humble, but it also keeps me like, Tamia, that you're that girl. Like, stop playing with yourself. Also, I have an album in my phone labeled You're Her. Because if I ever forget the things that, and it's not even always about accomplishments. It also goes back to integrity and character. Like, I can sleep with myself because I am who I say I am 110%. And so for me, that other portion of, like, when I have a low moment, it's like, I'm going to that album and I'm pulling up receipts. We all have them. Pull up your receipts, create an album, create voice notes to yourself. I did that during cancer. On days where I felt like the most good and I'm like, oh, this is a good day, I would record myself speaking to myself and encouraging myself for moments that I didn't feel that good. So I think those are things that have helped to keep me grounded. And also, again, goes back to music, therapy, art. Therapy is good and it's necessary. And I don't want anybody to shy away from that if they need that. But also sometimes I'll randomly go to an art museum because art is therapeutic for me. Or I'll write poetry, like, just nonstop. Self-preservation the poetry book was an accident in that sense, because really it wasn't supposed to be for the world. It was something I was writing when I was going through, and it was my form of escape. That's why I say I write to free light on dark nights, but sometimes I write the dark right to free me. So those are things that help to keep me grounded in music. I have different playlists. So I have a playlist called Calm. I have a playlist called Songs That Make Me Happy. And those are things that I run. Another thing that I do practically is diffuse. So I know that the smell of citrus makes me happy. And there's also science behind that. But for me, I'm buying like citrus sprays, and Sage has this one diffuser oil called Liquid Sunshine. And literally I feel like sunshine when I diffuse it. It's like, oh, and I, you know, as I say, we have the power to choose happy. So I just try to remember that. And in moments where it's just like, oh, this don't feel like it's working, I'd be like, girl, you almost died. You alive. Like, be happy. Be happy.